You know, a wise YouTuber once said, the notion that a heavy hunting knife can do the work of a hatchet is delusional. Hi gang, Rob here. It's the afternoon of 15 September 2013. Yeah, I've been taking those words to heart over the last few weeks or so. That wise YouTuber I spoke of in the introduction is Cody from Wranglerstar. And like many of you who are probably watching this video, I was sort of raised on the wisdom of another famous YouTuber, nothing fancy, and well, I've got a bit of an arsenal of big blades, big woods blades that I depend on for chopping and splitting wood. I watched some of Cody's hatchet and axe videos with great interest and tried to pay attention and tried to understand the points he was making, and eventually I decided to set off on my own and try to select a proper hatchet. And I sort of went the old route. I found some hatchets on eBay and tried to do my best to select one that had the kind of profile Cody was talking about, which is kind of a hollow grind and a pretty thin blade. I was looking for a small kind of camp hatchet. This is a 14-inch Woodings-Verona hatchet. And I don't know in this if from this view you can see real well the profile, but upon reflection, I think my first attempt at this might not have been the best. I think this is a little too wedge-like, a little more wedgy than Cody might like. I think the hatchets that he likes are probably a little longer, maybe around 18 inches. But this is kind of an around-the-house, home campfire, and camping hatchet. So I'm not too disappointed with it. I want to show you a little bit about the journey that this hatchet has been on in the last 3 weeks since it's been in my care, and we'll roll in a little bit of video and some stills to show you where it came from and how it got to where it is now. First, take a look at some stills that show the condition of the hatchet when I got it. Guys, the head restoration is pretty much done. At this point, we're just hitting it with the 220 by hand. Just putting a nice hand rubbed satin finish on the blade of the axe. Just got a couple pieces of scrap wood to protect the handle. Most of the work I did on this head, since I don't have a die grinder, I used just a cordless drill with these 5-inch sanding discs, self-adhesive. Yeah, here's what that rig looks like. It worked pretty well. Now we're going to let's start working on the handle. I get all that work in the head. Just go ahead and use our scrap wood to protect it for this phase. Don't know if you can see this, but I'll spin you around here. This axe was made by the Woodings-Verona tool company. As you can see, this handle, according to the printing on the handle, says American hickory, and it apparently is. And it's very straight grained. The grain is all running exactly in the direction it should. There are no knots, and it's really straight. So let's get this old factory finish off here. Starting with the 60 grit, and we'll work our way down. Okay, guys, we're down to the 220. It's going to be my final grit of sandpaper. When this is done, we'll do probably 3 coats of linseed oil, at least 12 hours apart. Just rub them in with a cotton cloth. And then we're going to call this little hatchet done. Then all there'll be left to do is to see if it'll cut. Well, there it is, guys. All right. It's time for linseed oil. Linseed oil can opening courtesy of the Victorinox Cadet. Hey, that's gonna look good. we'll come back in a few minutes with the dry one, wipe off the excess, and then give it a couple more coats. We might have been starting a little too far from home. This hatchet head was a little rusty, and it required a lot of stock removal to get it in decent shape. I did leave, if you can see, some of the original pits from the forging process for this hatchet head. But it's got kind of a hand rubbed satin finish, and it's got some use on it now. The fire you're seeing, the wood was split with this hatchet. To give you a little background on the tool itself, the Woodings-Verona tool company was started a little over 100 years ago by the Woodings family in Verona, Pennsylvania, in a factory on Jones Street in a really small town, about 600 people today. They were pretty successful at making hand tools and industrial tools. Up until the mid-80s, they were a small family-owned tool company. They must have been very cash healthy, because in the late 80s, Ames Corporation, the hardware store Home Center Corporation, bought their hand tool division. And I don't know that Ames is even still in business. But the Woodings Industrial Tool Company still exists, making conveyor belts and things for factories. Still family owned. But the hand tool division, I believe to be extinct. This particular hatchet, this 14-inch sort of camp hatchet, I think was made in the late 70s. Features a really nice forged steel head, albeit a little thick at the tip, and a great, very straight grained American hickory handle, which after refinishing is just a joy to have in the hand. I want to show you now a little bit of video of some cutting after the hatchet was done, and then we'll come back and laugh a little bit at that. So okay guys, let's start off by making a tent stake. You see me do that with the SR1A and the Adamas. Let's strip these little remaining nubs. Amazingly easy. Okay, that's probably a little long for a tent stake, so well, let's see how it chops. Pretty clean. All right, let's address this end. Not bad. Now let's make a notch for the rope. Get these nice curly shavings off here. There. What do you think, guys? Not bad. Let's see if it'll split. This is a piece of red oak. It's I guess this was cut in 2010. Sat for a year, then it was split into firewood, and been sitting for about 2 years outside. It ought to be pretty well seasoned. Let's see how our little hatchet splits. Okay, not bad. That was about a 3.5 inch section. Now let's try splitting this in half. Look at that. I ain't Wranglerstar with a hatchet in my hand, that's for sure. Okay. Well, I think you get the picture. She does pretty well. What's that? Do what? Guys, it's a hatchet. It chops, it splits, heck, it even processes tent stakes, but you want me to do what? All right, I'll go get some paper. Let me get this cleaned up. I'll be right back. Okay, you know, it is a hatchet, guys, but I know what you expect. Let's see if it can cut copy paper. Okay? But I know you're not going to be satisfied with that. Let's see. Phone book paper. Oh, this is... I know it'll do it, but it's not easy. See? It's sharp. Okay, so after watching that cutting, there's some things that become apparent, don't they? First of all, the use of a hatchet is a skill, and it requires some muscle memory and some practice. I haven't done much of that. If you watch Wranglerstar's How to Select a Proper Hatchet video, you'll see a hatchet in capable hands. Don't fault my tool, fault me. I could have made those tent stakes a lot faster if I took bigger bites. Certainly the tool is capable of it. I got some practice to do, but already, even being pretty expert with a large woods survival knife versus being a novice with a hatchet, I can already tell you the hatchet's more effective for wood splitting, small chopping, fashioning stakes, minor cutting of wood or maybe bone. Cody's right. The hatchet is better. I'll probably do a comparison video here in the near future of some wood processing with this 14-inch Woodings-Verona hatchet and my 10-inch Ontario SP5 Spec Plus Bowie. We'll just kind of see if what we're talking about actually bears out in practical use. Now I want to tell you a little bit about how I finished this off, because I didn't take any video of this, but you could tell by the cut test, especially the phone book paper, that I maybe went a little above and beyond on the edge of this hatchet. I did do the cutting edge at 20 degrees per side on the Edge Pro, full polish. The relief grinder, the secondary bevel, is convex, probably at about 15, but it does have a little curve. It's convex, as a hatchet should be. Only the final cutting edge is at that 20-degree straight bevel, except for where I ran it into a staple, splitting kindling. The edge is holding up real well. I want to show you some pictures now, some stills of the finished hatchet edge as we go out here, because I think it came out pretty sweet. Stay tuned for some more videos, guys, of the old Woodings-Verona hatchet. And although I kind of made a mistake in selecting maybe the right vintage hatchet, it was a great first project, and I'll get better at it. And I certainly don't pretend to be an expert. I'm just trying to learn. And well, maybe someday I'll be as good with these heavy blocky edged tools as I am with knives, so we'll see. Grace and peace to you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Have a great Sunday, guys, and remember, the word is sharp.